Ah, Slender the 8 Pages. Need I say more than that? We all know this game more than the actual mythos of Slender Man created by Marble Hornets. Either you watched a crap ton of YouTubers play it, or you yourself have experienced the raw virtual terror of Slender Man. Created yet again by Parsec Productions, Slender the Arrival is a reboot to the original 8 Pages. The name could be stating that Slender has officially arrived for good. Knowing that the original game spawned off so many other maps, each still as horrific as the next, to me the original was the scariest game I've ever played. I really had no idea what to expect. There really isn't a whole lot to say, because the more knowledge you have, the less unknown and scary our tall, long apprentice friend will be. Well, I could say it's both a great thing and an awful thing to have eyes while playing this game. No pun intended. You would also need a pretty darn good computer to set this game up on ultra high settings. Now, I never try to poke at the technical aspects of games, only when it's necessary, and the same thing with indie games, but I found it pretty aggravating the game was lagging so much when I first played it, and I thought I had a good computer. So I did some research, and after a little bit of aggravation, I found out that my NVIDIA driver automatically chose the integrated processor to play with the game. And as you know, it's only for smaller tasks, such as being on the desktop and whatnot. So what I had to do is I had to manually go to the dashboard, manually select the high performance graphics processor, and then I was good to go. So it was easy to fix, but honestly should be resolved in this program ASAP, because some people may not know how to fix it themselves. When it all works, I can say that this game is amazing, especially for an indie game. Whoever made this game world, I can say you really have a bright future in this industry. Later on during the game at night, the game world appeared even better than a game like Alan Wake. I feel like the lighting and the atmosphere was just incredible. You take that plus Slender Man, you're pretty much fucked. The game's sound effects and music were also very well done. I could easily tell that the developers used many assets from the original game, but I felt it was necessary to keep that original perfect level of shit your pants scary. The music was also crippling to hear floating around in your eardrums. Overall, the art presentation was shocking, creepy, and pretty beautiful. You know you still gotta play this game, right? Yeah, I know. I really had no idea what to expect this gameplay would be. I mean, it could be like the original game, but I saw that it was gonna be longer, so I had really no idea what to expect. I do recall that when the game was pre-ordered, you would receive an upgraded version of the original 8 Pages. Later, I noticed that there's 5 stages in all, and you can go back and select any of them after completion of the game. The 8 Pages portion is still present in its own stage, and I don't want to reveal the rest of the game, but I will say most of these stages require these so-called scavenger hunts. Each one is not as it seems though, well except the 8 Pages stage. I would also like to note that the classic portion of the game has got to be the hardest, and what I mean by that is really difficult, for me at least. If you've beaten the classic game, then this shouldn't be a big trouble for you. Then when you beat it, you can choose hardcore mode for a special surprise at the end. You know, I feel like this game is more for the veterans of the original and not really for beginners, unless you're a very quick learner. It's not really a long game, but it still will scare most anyone even after 100 playthroughs. Like I've said before, I don't want to give too much away, because I tended to do that early on in my reviews. The story concept of this game was much like Metroid, where the player is dropped into the game world with absolutely zero understanding of the current situation. You know, I've always loved that concept, if it's done well. Just like in the movie Memento, the player soon finds clues to add up in this puzzle of a story. I feel like it's expertly well done in this game, and it still had me questioning about the end of the story, but not enough to feel like the game has left a huge plot hole. Overall, Parsec Productions does an incredible job of delivering such an immersive, frightening, hopeless, and unknown story. Now, if you really want to know the concept of the story, here it goes. You're going to a friend's house, and then Slender attacks you. Now, of course I left out a whole bunch of info, but you'll have to discover that piece together yourself, if you're courageous enough. Slender's reboot, The Arrival, is a will-shattering game that can scare you to your core. The game presents a beautifully horrific artistic style rivaling games of our recent past. The sound design may be recycled from the last game, but it needs to be. The gameplay is that of the original game with a few more additions for more content. It was a very challenging game. Depending on who you are, you may have trouble or not. It's a game made for the horror veterans and the quick learners. The game's unrevealing storyline is a nostalgic scare trip into the darkness. Despite the shaky start and difficult gameplay, it's a very well put together indie game. Slender the Arrival still keeps me up at night. 5 eggs out of 6.
Just don't get scared of Slender Man, because as it goes, if you're afraid of him, he will get you.